Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Welcome back to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with me, Karl Fitzpatrick. Well, the Surf Shack in Curracloe is in the midst of its peak season. But how does 2020 compare to previous summers? And how does the business generate income in the off-peak season? Jack Tim Murphy from the Surf Shack joins us now to tell us how he navigates the choppy waters. Jack Tim, the roots of the Surf Shack actually date back to the last recession.
How are you getting on, Karl? Thank you very much. It started with us really scrapping 80 slot machines from the winning post when the recession hit, and I suppose the downturn really hit the gaming business hard. We had to scrap all them games and 2 big rooms where we would have had the slot machines hopping in. They were gone then, you know.
And it's hard to imagine, isn't it, that with a beach as beautiful and as expansive as Curracloe, that there was never any water sports on it.
No, it's mad. It always baffles me, even on the whole east coast of Ireland. Even a couple of years ago, I was working with a company in Holland, and when you see the coastline in Holland, I mean, the amount of people that use the water for exercise is just staggering. And it's really something like the potential on the east coast of Ireland is just huge for water sports. It's just really underutilised at the moment. And
what needs to be done to maximise that potential, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, it's the big thing down here, and we've seen it we've been in business 7 years now, and the change in people's mindset about the sea is that now it's a much safer place now, and I suppose we've brought so many people out into the sea in mad weather, in calm weather, in rain, hail or snow. We're out there surfing, and it's kind of started definitely with the parents. They're realising that if you have a little bit of knowledge and you put a little bit of work into safety there, it's quite a safe. It's very the sea is a very safe place once you know what you're doing, you know.
Now, you started the Surf Shack back in 2013. What services are you now providing, Jack Tim?
Oh, we're doing everything now, really. Down we rent gear on the beach and we do classes for kids and adults, mainly in surfing, paddle boarding. And then recently we've got a little bit into kite surfing, and then we do sandboarding as well in the sand dunes down here.
And how are your clients hearing about you?
Well, I suppose we'd have quite a strong customer base in the local community, and I think that when we opened, the travel restriction really was within your county. And a big part of our business is that not the business, but a big part of the shack is really that we run the surf club. And with the travel restriction within the county, all our new club members, when we opened up, were signing up from Wexford. And this really, really helped us off at the start, because people in Wexford were looking for something to do, and we put quite a lot of work in late May, early June with a lot of the surf schools around the country to I suppose come up with really safe, clear guidelines to tell everyone that surfing was back and it was safe, it's outdoors, it's one of those things that you can really do now with your friends, and that social aspect of it is great, that kids were able to really get out and see their friends in a safe way. That was a big part of it for us.
And specifically, what did you need to do to the Surf Shack to be able to prepare it for reopening?
Yeah, we've completely changed the business model anyway, and it's all before we would have been getting busier and busier, and then the groups that we were taking out were getting bigger and bigger. So obviously, with such restrictions on gatherings of people, we had to completely change that, and we're only doing groups of 8 now, and we made the groups a lot smaller, and we made the sessions a lot more. The kids and the people, the customers really are getting a lot more attention from the instructors now, and we kind of added a bit of value to the sessions, I suppose. And
of course, your base is in Curracloe, but this year I believe that you also introduced other satellite locations.
Yeah, that was another decision, something we've tried to do for the last 2 or 3 years, but we were just too busy in Curracloe. We didn't have the staff to run it, and because of the reduced numbers, we were able to bring the school with the van out to different beaches around Wexford that are really, really good for surfing, but have never had a surf school on them. And they had the reaction from the local communities that we've been in Cullenstown Beach is one, and Carn Beach is another, and they're just delighted to see us down there, and delighted to see the kids and the adults out surfing. And sure, it's all real families, It's a lot of families are doing all the activities, so we're getting the kids and adults out together, and it's just great fun.
And of course, the summertime is the peak season for yourself, but for the remainder of the year, how do you operate?
Well, this is it. I mean, with a seasonal business, what you're trying to do is extend your season all the time. Before we would have done a lot of work with language groups and school tours, and that's still a bit up in the air of what's going to happen. Like we would have rolled a lot of our bookings that we didn't do in the springtime this year over to autumn, and but you can't really bank on school tours now anymore. So one big thing I suppose that we're looking at doing is really kind of using the staff that we have here are quite experienced, and with a lot of people who've done degrees in physics or in environmental science, or would be quite passionate about the environment, and I suppose trying to become a little bit more of an educational school that we can teach even things like do coastal erosion surveys and run environmental workshops for kids and become a bit of a marine education centre.
That's a great idea, and it's certainly an opportunity to tap into the STEM-based education syllabus of the schools around you.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Referrals, of course, must be a big part of your business, especially during the summertime. How supportive are local hotels and guest houses and caravan park owners in that respect?
Oh, well, they're just brilliant, because I think it's a good business to be in, because I suppose you can go to a caravan site, and if they have a surf school down the road, they're more likely to have people come and stay with them if they can say, there's these amenities and these activities in the area. So we'd work quite closely with a lot of the accommodation providers and even hotels like the Ferry Carrig and the Talbot, and they've been very helpful with kind of offering surf lessons for families staying with them.
And I know that one of the challenges facing surfing schools across the country is how they're classified at a 23% VAT rate. What are you doing as a group in order to lobby the government to have that reduced, Jack Tim?
Well, this is it, Karl. I mean, like back in the middle of May, we were all scrambling together to find out what we were all doing. Some places were open, some were closed, and no one really knew what to do. And like it goes back to earlier what you were saying. How do we get these activities going up and down the East Coast, and where's the potential for growth? And like I'd say, if I was a young lad trying to get into the surf school industry, it's not that attractive at the moment. Like I did it because I loved it, but if you're doing it from a business perspective, I suppose it's not that attractive, because just for example, like kids' surf lessons are taxed at 23% VAT, and the fact that it's such a healthy outdoor activity, it doesn't really make sense, or join up. And one thing that all the surf schools did when we got together was we joined the IAAT, the activity sector of Fáilte Ireland, and they would have a lot of connections in the government and would lobby on our behalf. But I suppose what we did was we got together to have one clear voice and say that like it's just not really sustainable. The tax rate's at 23% on kids' lessons. If you look at Portugal or Holland, I mean, surfing is just booming. It's really, really big. The government are really pushing it. The tourism industry is really pushing it. And it's what Ireland really has to kind of recognise, that this is a big opportunity for tourism,
And Jack Tim, finally, as we look beyond the current peak season of July and August, what's your outlook for the next 12 months?
Well, I do like business is booming at the moment. People are really trying to get out and do outdoor activities, but it is going to come to it will come to a halt when the kids go back to school, and I suppose reality hits of how hard the last 4 months of lockdown have been on people and people's jobs and their pocket as well. I think people will be battening down the hatches a little bit. We still don't know what business is going to be like in September and October, but we'll just have to wait and see. But we're definitely staying positive about it.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Jack Tim Murphy from the Surf Shack, and we wish Jack Tim every success with his growth plans for the business.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.